Hey everyone, Felix from Nintendo Life here, and yes, I have played Hades 2, which in itself is not that impressive since it has been in early access for quite a while, but I have it here on the Nintendo Switch 2. I've also got to try it out on the Nintendo Switch 1, and I'm going to tell you all about it. We are going to have a proper review soon, but we got code very late, so apologize for not having that right now. This is the embargo, so we just wanted to put something out there. And I will just take you through how it's running, like some comparisons on Switch 1 and 2. And yeah, let's just get right into it. If you're just here for the comparison, well, I'll put it up right now. You can see on the left we have Switch 2 footage, and on the right we have Switch 1 footage. Now, immediately it will be clear that, well, the Switch 2 version is a lot clearer than the Switch 1 version. Now, that was a surprise to no one, but perhaps the biggest difference is one that I can't really show you because the Switch 2 version runs at 120 FPS, where the Switch 1 version only on 60. It is still 60, it runs really good on both. To me, when I play it, either on Switch 1 or Switch 2, I don't see that much of a difference frame rate wise, but I feel the difference, and that's what 120 FPS is really all about. And it's something that I really got to love when playing Hollow Knight Silksong, and it's something that I'm really loving here with my time in Hades 2. Now, another big change between these two versions is the load times. As you can see right here, well, the load times are significantly longer on Switch 1 than Switch 2. On Switch 2, it's almost instantaneous. Well, on Switch 1, as you can see, this is especially doing the initial load of the game, where it just takes a lot longer. You can see it's struggling to get this game off the ground, but when it does, the load times are really not that much bigger. Sure, it takes a little longer when you start. Hey, there we go. There it is. Yay! But yeah, although it looked really outrageously longer here at the boot screen, when you're in the game, you don't notice it that much. So I've played about 5 hours so far, mostly on Switch 2, and it is incredibly crisp. I'll have some raw gameplay right here of the Switch 2. My god, just look at when you talk to another person. It is so crisp. Now, Hades was already gorgeous when it came out on Switch 1, but since it was on Switch, it was a little bit more blurry, and as you also see in the side-by-side comparison, it does not look as crisp as it does on Switch 2. Also in handheld, it looks really nice, but it is really hard to get across just how good it looks in the hand. If you've ever tried to capture the Switch or the Switch 2 screen, yeah, it never really works as well. Now, one thing to note is that although on the big screen it'll look a lot more blurry and not as detailed on the Switch 1 opposed to the Switch 2, in handheld, the difference isn't really that big. Now, the advantage of the Switch 1, at least the version I have, is the OLED version, so all the blacks just look phenomenal, but even on the Switch 2, even though it's not OLED, it still looks really, really great. So, about the gameplay, what's different with Hades 2? If you enjoyed Hades 1, will you enjoy Hades 2? Now, again, I'm not that far into the game myself, but I will say I am really enjoying it. It is different than Hades. There's certain things, like your cast now locks the enemies in place. I really had to get used to that. When you hold down the sprint button, well, you'll just go faster, so you don't have to press sprint all the time. And there's also just a lot of small tweaks. Of course, there's a lot of new characters, a lot of new mechanics. So now you can kind of mine some metal and you can make potions, and yeah, there's a lot of familiar faces, but there's also a lot of new faces. It's all really, really nice. Everything is voice acted once again to the most exquisite performance. Everything is just a bit different, but familiar. I think that's how I'd say it. The music, the visuals, everything has a little twist. It's almost like Hollow Knight Silksong that just recently came out. It's Hollow Knight, but with a twist. Now, I don't know how the different biomes and regions will unfold as I progress further. I have reached the second biome, which, yeah, I thought is really cool. I feel like everything's a bit smaller, like the areas, everything's a bit more zoomed in, which I don't know exactly how I feel about it. Also, it feels a little bit slower. That might be the weapons I'm using or just the gameplay that it is. I have to spend some more time with it to see if I really enjoy it. Also, a big difference, which I can't believe I haven't talked about until now, is that you can now charge up like your Y or your X attack, and here you use magic to charge them up, and these are more powerful attacks. And it has this really interesting balance between, oh, I'm going to use just my regular attack or power it up at the cost of some magic. If you're wondering if this is a great game, well, we'll have a review up for you very soon. Hopefully by sometime this week, Alana is working really well. Oh, one thing to note, this game has cross-save. So she had played the early access when it came out, and that meant that she could transfer her save data now over to the Switch and finish it that way, which is really, really cool. Now, if you have bought the game on Switch 2 and want to play some on your Switch 1, well, it's really simple. You just, eject it from your Switch 2 as a digital game, and then, you can inject it in the Switch 1. Now, I couldn't get the save file to work, but I was also running really low on time. I didn't really look much into it. I imagine you can transfer your save data, but it is also two different versions of the game. This one is on the Switch 2 is called the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, where the other one is just Nintendo Switch edition, but I imagine there should be no issues with that. I just can't confirm it right here. But also it feels like there's more to do in Hades 2. Like I said, that you can now make potions, you can collect stuff out in the overworld. You could collect stuff before where you could fish, but here there's multiple different materials that you can use in the potions, and there's a lot of different currencies. One of the currencies lets you unlock different Arcana cards, which this is basically how that mirror from Hades 1 worked, but I feel like this works better. There's better customization. I just really like the layout of it. And also, besides the different weapons you have, you can also get different tools. For example, you can get a spade, so when you see this patch of land, you can get some seeds, or you get a pickaxe, so you can get some metal. But that's just so much attention to detail. Every time you die and go back to the starting area, well, there's new dialogue. Some of the characters are there, some of the characters are not there, and you just want to keep playing. It's a perfect gameplay loop. That it was in Hades, and it really also is here. Like, you go out, you fight monsters, try to reach further and further, then you'll die at some point, and then that's where kind of the story progresses when you get back. And depending on how far you got and what on earth happened, well, you'll have new dialogue and new progression. So in this game, you play as Melanoe, which I don't think I pronounced that correctly, but it's spelled like this. It's a bit tricky. Now, I've purposely not talked about the story. If you liked Hades 1, just go in and play this. And if you've not played Hades 1, you can still play this, but I think everything will make a bit more sense if you have played Hades 1. This is kind of like a sequel, and that's all I'm going to say about the story, because, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. You should go in and just play this. It's only $30 on 30 American dollars on the eShop, so it's a cheap game. And the Nintendo Switch 2 upgrade is totally free. So yeah, really great job, Supergiant. There's also a physical version coming out in a couple of months. It's not here at release when it comes out, well, tomorrow at the time of this recording. So yeah, if you're a Hades fan and you've not tried the early access, because I had not tried the early access, I wanted to wait until the full game is out, well, now is your chance to do so. Overall, the game runs fantastic. There's been no hiccups either on Switch 1 or 2, so if you're wondering, oh, should I get it on somewhere else? Not that you really can right now, because, well, you can also get it on computer, of course, but on console, the Switch 1 and 2, it's a console exclusive for now. It comes out tomorrow, so I hope everyone who's been waiting for this is excited, and I hope everyone who's intrigued goes and tries Hades 1, because, well, it is fantastic. It's one of the best games ever made, so it's safe to say that I was really excited to try this out. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Felix from Nintendo Life,